Hello everyone, welcome back to the Golf Show, and we're just 1 week away from the Open Championship. Cannot wait for that major at Sandwich. And of course, we've got Simon Dyson once again, the six-time European Tour winner, to look at that, but mostly focus on this week. First of all, Simon, welcome back. It's getting a bit closer, isn't it? It's exciting time.
Yeah, like we said last week, good time for sport, great time for golf. Scottish Open this week, we had Irish Open last week, and then the Open the week after. So really exciting, some good tournaments coming up next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll get to the Scottish Open shortly, but let's look back at last week first of all, and we'll start with the Irish Open. And it was a second European Tour victory for the 25-year-old Aussie Lucas Herbert, going wire to wire, winning by 3 shots at Mount Juliet. It was an impressive performance, Simon.
Yeah, really good. Anybody that can go wire to wire, you don't see it very often. Really impressive performance. He looked composed, calm, and, justified winner.
Yeah, he was pretty wayward off the tee on the final day. I think some nerves crept in midway round, but his putter was red hot. He was on fire, wasn't he? He gained 4 strokes on the field on the final day with the flat stick. And to be honest, there wasn't really big names in behind chasing him down. I wonder if that helped at all. I wonder if that's something that you can relate to.
Yeah, probably. There was a couple of times, I looked at the leaderboard with 9 holes to go, and there was kind of nobody of note around, and he will have noticed the same. He will have noticed that. And, putting can get you out a lot of trouble. It certainly did for me when I was playing a few years ago. So, yeah, really good win for him.
And we're talking about the Open Championship. With that win, he gets into the Open, so that's another added incentive for him. And I'm sure that was probably on his mind when he was trying to close it down the stretch.
Yeah, brilliant for him that. The fact that you qualify for winning a tournament like the Irish and it gets you into the British Open, great for him. And he'll be really looking forward to it. Something everyone wants to play, isn't it?
Yeah, and as for Rory, because he was the headline tip, I think he was a clear favourite going into it. He just never really got going, did he? A poor first day, recovered somewhat on the second day, but never really got going or got into contention. And I wonder if switching coaches, Simon, he's now with Pete Cowan, I wonder if that just brings about a bit of inconsistency, first of all, because we've seen him win, but we've seen him have some bad weeks as well.
Yeah, it's going to take time, It's just going to take time for it to feel ingrained. Like you said, he had a really good round the second day and then just couldn't kind of keep it going third and fourth. But it just does take time and it will click. We all know how talented he is. He's world class. So it will come at some point. And like you say, he won, but then he's had a few poor results. He just wants a bit more consistency in the game, I think.
Okay, well, he's teeing it up in Scotland this week, which is good to see as well. We're going to get to that event shortly, but let's recap the Rocket Mortgage as well, which was last night on the PGA Tour. And it was another playoff. We had an 8-hole playoff a couple of weeks ago, this time a 5-hole playoff won by another Aussie in the 26-year-old Cam Davis from Troy Merritt. And annoyingly, from my selection on the show last week, Joaquin Niemann. We'll get to him shortly, Simon, but it was Davis's first win on the PGA Tour, and he hit some clutch shots, didn't he, down the stretch? That hole out on 17th eagle, he birdied the 18th as well.
I mean, you always like to see players win tournaments, and he really took it to the wire, didn't he? Holding his bunker shot on 17, little bit of luck needed in there, but then to birdie the last to get into the playoff and then won the playoff, no one can deny the fact that the lad won it. And yeah, great. I love seeing first-time winners, seeing the reaction and how much it means to them, and it did to him.
Yeah, he really rose to the occasion, didn't he? Because afterwards he talked about the satisfaction of that, because his only other win of note was in the 2017 Australian Open, which is a big event down there. He beat some good players, but he did post an early score and sat in the clubhouse and wasn't really sure whether it would be enough or not. So it is a different kind of pressure, isn't it, when you're going into the final few holes knowing you need to do something to win and ultimately a playoff as well.
Absolutely. And it's in your hands. You can either win it or you can lose it. So the fact that a young lad, again, just come out and these lads are just winning. They have the mentality of they want to win tournaments and not kind of give it away. It's great to see. And yeah, he did fantastic. Like I say, I love seeing first-time winners.
We had a couple of playoffs back-to-back, as I mentioned. What are playoffs like, Simon? You've been in that position, I think, 3 times, came out on top a couple of times. So what are your memories of playoffs as a player?
Do you know what? I always kind of liked them. You knew you were playing well. You looked at the players that you were playing against. And for me, I just tried to keep it keep the ball in play and keep the pressure on the other guys to have to win it. Obviously, I mean, my the two that I won, I birdied the first playoff hole. So I kind of won it. But the other one was Justin Rose at Valderrama, and he birdied the first playoff hole. But I gave myself a really good chance of birdie as well and just couldn't make it. But I always used to quite like them. You know, it's literally almost like a match play situation. It's just you against these guys. But yeah, you know, for a lad who's not been in that situation before, I can see it being quite daunting. I know my very first one was. But, you know, they're a challenge, and, you know, players who win love a challenge.
I often hear sometimes people say, well, the pressure's off once you got to a playoff because you completed the 72 holes, you've done what you can do. I never really quite got that. Is that something you can relate to?
No, not really. I agree with you. You know, the pressure's still on. You want to win. You know, I suppose the relaxing thing is, you know, you can't finish any worse than second. You know, you've got second. So I was always quite a positive, aggressive player. So for me, they kind of suited me because I thought, right, let's just go for the win then. I've got second, and whatever happens, it doesn't really matter. So if you made a 7, it's not like making a 7 down the last hole of the tournament that can drop you out of the top 10. You know, it doesn't really matter. You've got second. So aggressive in playoffs was always the way forward for me.
Okay, it was an impressive win for him, but it was, as I say, bittersweet for me in the show because we did both agree actually that Niemann would be a good bet and he'd have a good chance this week. And he didn't make a bogey in regulation, 72 holes. Only 2 players have done that and gone on to win. But then he makes one on the first playoff hole. It was quite annoying, Simon.
Typical, that, isn't it? You know, you don't make one for 72 holes. I don't know many golfers that have played a tournament totally bogey free. But yeah, like you say, it's just something that happens. That's golf for you. That's the beauty of it. You know, you don't make one for 72 holes and then you bogey the first playoff hole.
Yeah, he's unlucky as well. He hit a great drive down the first playoff hole and then just in between clubs and it didn't quite work out for him. That's the sort of luck that you need, isn't it? When you're going to win a tournament, you might have hit a great drive, Simon. You've been in that position, but you've not got the right number in the fairway.
I did. You know, like the playoff I lost to Justin Rose. I remember the 72nd hole in regulation. I hit Valderrama, such a tough driving hole, the last, and I hit 3 wood straight down the middle, perfect position. I get down there and I'm in the biggest divot you've ever seen. And I've got a shot, a 7-iron into the wind, and it just kind of ballooned up on me. But again, you know, that's the luck that you need. If I wasn't in that divot, I couldn't have seen myself making bogey, and I'd have won the tournament. But that's the luck of the draw and the luck of the golf, isn't it?
Okay, well, still a good week for him, and I'm sure a win will be just around the corner considering how well he is playing. Right, let's move on, shall we, to the European Tour, because this week it takes centre stage and we got the Scottish Open at the Renaissance Club on the North Berwick coast. And it is a big event, isn't it, Simon? One of the 5 Rolex Series events on the European Tour this year. So with that and the fact we've got the Open next week, we've got a superb field. 5 of the world's top 10 are in attendance.
Fantastic field, probably the best they've ever had. You know, they've done this thing where if you win a Rolex event, you get exemption on the US Tour now, which for the Europeans is huge because that's what we were saying last week. That's where everybody wants to be. So the guys have come over from America, gives them great. It's not your typical links like you normally see, but it still gives you good preparation for the Open next week, which is, again, one they all want to win.
And this is an event at the Renaissance Club that you went to in a non-playing capacity a couple of years ago. So what are your memories of it?
Yeah, I mean, I've played it a few times as well, and there's some good holes, there's some good demanding holes, but there's a lot of chances. The rough's never that long. It's a man-made links, you know. It's on the coast, but it never seems to blow that much. You seem to see more rain than anything, and I think it's going to be pretty similar this week. So it'll soften the course. It won't be that demanding. I expect to see somebody shoot some very low scores, and the winning score will probably be pretty low as well, up towards the high teens, maybe even 20.
Yeah, it's not exactly a true links, as you said. It's more of a modern man-made design. And I wonder if they're just making it a bit easier for the players ahead of what could be a really tough test next week and not wanting to get, you know, in such a bad position the week before, because you don't want to lose your game, do you, before a major?
No, you don't really. You're absolutely bang on. And It's kind of like almost like a bit of a step from Challenge Tour to European Tour. You know, the courses on the Challenge Tour weren't as demanding as the ones on the European Tour, so it's very similar. But I think a lot of the top boys would rather see more of a test, so then they know what they're facing next week in the Open. But yeah, it's a beautiful setting, it's a beautiful course, but it's not the most challenging one on the tour.
Okay, with that in mind, what type of player were you considering this week?
I think someone who's in control of the ball flight. It depends on the wind. That I think someone who's going to make a lot of birdies, someone who plays quite aggressive golf, and probably someone who's done pretty well around here before.
Okay, well, we don't have the odds just yet, but as I mentioned, we've got a great field, the likes of Rahm, Rory, Justin Thomas, Sander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, all here. So I'm sure those PGA Tour players will be right at the top of the betting. All right, Simon, time for your picks. How many have you got and who's the first?
I've just gone for two. I've gone a little bit outside the box this week. Could have been so easy to pick the top boys, but I've gone for the lad who won it 2 years ago, Bernd Weisberger. He's hitting a nice little bit of form. Obviously won it 2 years ago. He won 6 weeks ago in the Danish. So he's obviously playing well. Finished fifth a couple of weeks ago. And this course just suits everything about him. He's got such a strong ball flight, great iron player, good putter. And just, you know, the fact that you've won it before and what's up for grabs this week with the US Tour card, you know, it'd be a great feather in his cap to win it again.
Yeah, we talked about his record when he did win 6 weeks ago, the Maiden Denmark back in May. That's 8 European Tour wins now and 4 in the last couple of years. He does seem to be underestimated still by a lot of people, and perhaps in the betting week to week as well, because that is some record, isn't it?
Unbelievable record. And the thing with Bernd is when he wins, he tends to win multiple times that year. So he's obviously won the Maiden Denmark tournament. You know, it'll be a perfect win for him to come and, you know, win here again 2 years later.
Well, on that point, 2 years ago, he won the Maiden Denmark, and then 2 months later won this event. So he's looking to try and do exactly the same, isn't he, and do the double 2 years on. So fingers crossed.
Let's hope he can replicate it.
Bernd Wiesberger, the first pick for you. Who's the second?
I've gone for Scotty Scheffler, the American. Really nice player, 19th in the world. I mean, you've got to be playing some great golf to be top 20 in the world. Scoring average is good. He's around the 70 mark. Tee to green, he's 30th in the US. Putting 12th. And those are going to be really big factors on this type of course. It's not going to be about scrambling. There'll be a bit about approach play, but if you can get the ball in play off the tee and on your approach play, give yourself a lot of chances, he makes a lot of birdies. So he's had 3 top 8s in his last 7 tournaments. He had a top 7 in the US Open. Again, got to be playing some good golf to finish top 10 in the US Open. So I just fancy, an American to come over. Don't really know much about links golf and just attack.
Yeah, we've seen that before, and with the likes of Ricky Fowler, Phil Mickelson, both winning this event in the past. He's certainly got the length off the tee to have that as a big advantage this week. And as you mentioned, I think this is his first ever European Tour event. It might actually be his first ever event in the UK, because I think his Walker Cup was over in America. So it'd be interesting to see how he fares. But he's certainly got that class. And when we see these PGA Tour players come over and sometimes take a drop down in terms of quality, although this is a big event, they do perform well.
Yeah, they do. You know, you see it all the time. You see the guys coming over from the US Tour and just cleaning up. And he will be in that mindset. He'll be like, right, this is a tournament that I want to kind of go and win. It's a big event, the Scottish Open on the European Tour. So, yeah, no reason why he can't.
Okay, Bernd Wiesberger and Scotty Scheffler are the 2 picks for you. I'm going to put one up myself as well, Sam, because I do like the look of Tyrrell Hatton this week. I mean, he's not going to be a massive price, is he? But he does play so well in the UK. He was 14th on his only start here a couple of years ago at the Renaissance Club. And well, we saw him come back and win at Wentworth, didn't we, last year? He's won the Dunhill a couple of times, had a couple of top 10s at the Open. And I think in comparison to the American players, if we do get bad weather, I think he'll relish that and be able to handle the conditions in his hoodie this week. So, as I say, he won't be a massive price, but I think Tyrrell could go well both this week and next week.
Yeah, I'll be honest, he was one that kind of stood out for me as well. You know, you look at, he's not opposed to a Rolex event either. You know, he's good, fierce battler, good competitor, and he's got every attribute of the game to do well around the course like this.
Yeah, hopefully he goes well. Right, so we've got 3 picks between us for that event. Let's move on to the PGA Tour event as well this week, which is the John Deere Classic. And it's safe to say this really is the lesser of the two. The field is probably one of the worst of the year on the PGA Tour, unfortunately. I wonder if players just taking a week off, getting some prep before the Open, or of course, turning up in the Scottish Open, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. It's not the strongest field. But like you say, a lot of the big boys, a lot of guys will think, well, who are kind of borderline top 50, top 100, who aren't in the Open, it gives them a last chance. But then they're probably thinking, well, a lot of them play for world ranking points, and there'll be not many world ranking points in this event. So they're probably thinking, well, what's the point in going? It's not that long a course, 7,200 yard par 72. So you'll understand why I've gone for the picks that I've gone for. But yeah, it's a shame, but sometimes it happens when you get fields not as strong.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one, isn't it? We've had 5 of the last 9 years, a first-time winner on the PGA Tour triumphing here. But we've got a lot of course on to go off. We're at TPC Deere and once again in Illinois. So what is this track like, Simon?
I think it's one of those strategic courses. I think putting's going to be very important this week. It's not, like I said, it's not the longest. You're going to be giving yourself a lot of chances. So tee to green, pretty similar to Scottish, tee to green and putting are going to be huge this week. So mainly putting, I would say. You'd see sort of form from the last year, and all the guys in the top 10 were all very high strokes gained in putting. So you'll understand why I've gone for the 2 I've gone for then.
Yeah, it's one of those stereotypical PGA Tour events, isn't it? We've had a 59 here in the past, a 60 here in the past as well. You're going to need to go low. It's a birdie fest.
You are going to need to go low, and you're not going to win anything around this course by shooting 68, 69. It's going to have to be a couple of 63s in there and, mid 60s.
Okay, well, no betting once again as yet. We are recording this early on Monday, but we've got the likes of Daniel Berger in there, Sungjae Im as well. Russell Henley, I think, will probably be standouts in terms of world ranking and at the top of the betting. And with that in mind, Simon, how many picks have you got and who's the first?
Gone for 2 again. Daniel Berger actually was one that I was half tempted to go for, but I've gone for a couple of older guys this week. So my first one is Zach Johnson, one of the best putters in the world. When he gets that blade working, there is nobody better. He's 5th in strokes gained putting. There you go, straight away. He won it in 2012. 6 top 5s the last 9 times he's played here. His form around here is fantastic. Finished top 30 in US Open. I know his form leading into it's been a kind of up and down, but you get a course that you've had good results on, it can all come flooding back. So I've gone for a little outside bet on Zach Johnson.
Yeah, his form here really is something, isn't it? And what I like about him, because going into this week, you always consider Zach. I looked at his strokes gained approach stats from the Travellers a couple of weeks ago when he was in top 30 again. And it was the first time since October on tour that he gained over a stroke on the field in approach. So that is obviously a big thing, isn't it, going into this, which is pretty much a pitch and putt. So if that part of his game is working along with the putting, he could go very well.
Yeah, very well. We saw it when he won the Masters. His approach play, never went for a par 5 in 2, trusted his wedge game. There's going to be a lot of wedges in. And when he's on with his wedging in and his putting, like I said, there's nobody better. So, yeah, Zach Johnson.
Okay, Zach Johnson, the first oldie for you. Who's the second?
The second one's even older, but still world-class player. I've gone for Steve Stricker. His form's been great. Won on the Champions Tour a couple of weeks ago and 12 weeks ago. So he's won twice in the last 3 months. A couple of top 7s in between. Won this event 10 years ago. I know it's a long time ago, but it won't change that much. And I just think with the field that there is, somebody with all the experience that he's got, and again, world-class putter. World-class putter. Gives a lot of very good putters a lot tips, helps a lot of them out on tour. So, yeah, I'd love to see him do well this week, and kind of a bit like Stuart Sink a few weeks. Bit like him, won a few weeks ago. It'd be great to see him. He's one of the good guys.
Yeah, Steve Stricker famously giving putting tips to Tiger Woods. And if Tiger Woods asks for your advice about putting, you know he must be good with the flat stick, Simon. And yeah, he won this event 3 times in a row, didn't he? Back in 10 years ago, 2009, 2011. So he's got to be considered here. And I did see a little bit of that win you mentioned on the Champions Tour, the PGA, his 3rd major win on the Seniors Tour. Always a shame that he didn't pick up a major in terms of the regular PGA European Tour. But he's been brilliant playing in the seniors, and at Firestone he won by 6 shots, and that's a really difficult course, isn't it? So he must be playing well.
I was going to say I've been lucky enough to play that tournament, and it is a very good test of golf. It's Firestone, so to shoot the score that he shot and to win it by 6, you know, I don't care if you're playing against young bucks or old experienced guys, you know, to shoot those type of scores is still, you've got to be doing a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I like the look of Steve Stricker this week, to be fair.
Okay, a couple of the oldies this week. I'm going to throw one in as well, Simon, because we went close with Neiman last week, and I mentioned him already, Russell Henley, who I don't think will be a big price, but I think he'll have massive claims this week. He was 2nd when we were last here a couple of years ago, and that was thanks to some brilliant iron play. And 2 years on, he's still one of the best iron players in the world. We've talked about that before. He's 4th in approach this year and 8th in proximity. So you're going to want somebody who's going to shoot low, and in doing so, you're going to need to fire at pins. And we saw him play, didn't we, on the final day at the US Open? He was leading, wasn't he, going into that final day? But I think that shows his game is in great shape. And this, considering the field in comparison to the US Open, is a massive step down. So on a course that he's played well on before, I think he can go close. Exactly.
Really good player. You know, I like watching the lad play. And like you said, you've just summed up every aspect of his game that is on form. So yeah, like you said, this will be one that he really wants to kind of take. You know, it's up for grabs for a lot of players this week.
Yeah, I think he might have earmarked this one out, having come so close a couple of years ago and decided not to head over to Scotland, not to take a week off and maybe take advantage of the weekend field. So fingers crossed for Russell Henley. Right, so you got 2 picks from me, 4 from you, Simon. What's the best bet for you, do you think?
I kind of want to say Stricker, but I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
I'm going to go Scotty.
Okay, hopefully a first win for him, because he's not won on the PGA Tour yet, has he? But it looks like a type of course that he could rip apart if he's playing well. Yeah.
And there's a first time for everything. You can only win your first tournament once, can't you?
Yeah, fingers crossed it is this week. Right, good luck then, Simon. We're excited, aren't we? Because the Open Championship is just around the corner. It's been 2 years since we had the Open. I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait. It feels longer than that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't. You know, you obviously see a lot of reruns of Shane winning over in Ireland. So
I'm sure he wasn't too disappointed by the break. He's had that claret jug with him for 2 years, hasn't he?
He's had it for 2 years, hasn't he? It's been perfect for him.
Yeah, it's been great to see the celebrations that he's had, of course, out on the course. And well, we're hoping to ourselves get out on the course, aren't we, this week, weather permitting, and try and recreate a few shots from Royal St. George's and on the links. But as I say, the weather isn't great this week.
It's not. I think I'll need my waterproofs and my umbrella this week, filming out on the course. But it'll still be good. We'll still get to give the insight into, you know, bunker shots, pitch shots, things like that, and what they will have to expect playing a links course.
Yeah, fingers crossed it's not a complete washout, and we'll have some nice footage to show you all on the show next week. Right, that's it. Thanks to Simon once again. Thank you to watching. Make sure you get to betfred.com once again for all the latest odds and offers. 2 good events, in particular the Scottish this week on the European Tour, both getting underway on Thursday, and we'll be back next week to preview the big one, the Open.